The fluorescent hum of the conference room had always been a comforting symphony, a backdrop to the grand designs I meticulously crafted. For 7 years, I had poured every ounce of my being into Sterling and Associates, convinced it was more than just a firm, it was my destiny. And at its heart stood Arthur Davies, my mentor, the man whose praise I craved, whose wisdom I absorbed like parched earth. He was more than a boss. He was the architect of my professional dreams, or so I believed. Our magnum opus, the Veridian Spire project, was meant to be my crowning achievement. I had lived and breathed that design for 2 years, sacrificing weekends, holidays, and countless hours of sleep. It was a revolutionary concept, a vertical garden city, a testament to sustainable living woven into the urban fabric. Every curve, every green space, every innovative water recycling system was an extension of my soul. Arthur had overseen every step, offering guidance, pushing me further, his eyes glinting with what I mistook for shared passion. The day of the final presentation to the city council arrived, a crisp Tuesday morning that promised to reshape our careers and the city skyline. I was buzzing with a nervous energy, a blend of excitement and profound pride. Arthur, impeccably dressed as always, walked to the podium, a confident smile playing on his lips. He began to speak, his voice resonating with authority, detailing the vision, the innovation, the sheer audacity of the Veridian Spire. My heart swelled, ready for him to call my name, to acknowledge the countless hours, the sleepless nights, the very essence of me poured into that blueprint. But the words never came. Instead, he spoke of our collective vision, the firm's dedication, and then, with a chilling casualness that still haunts my dreams, he concluded, "This project, a culmination of years of experience and foresight, is a testament to what Sterling and Associates, under my leadership, can achieve." He gestured to the sprawling schematics, the vibrant 3D renders, my renders, as if they were conjured from his own mind. He took every question, every compliment, every moment of awe, claiming it all as his own. The air in the room grew thin, suffocating. My breath hitched. It was a slow, agonizing realization, like watching a beloved painting burst into flames. He didn't just steal my design, he stole my identity, my voice, my future. He stood there, basking in the glow of my creation, a thief in plain sight. I don't remember much of the rest of the presentation, only the dull roar in my ears, the way the vibrant green of the projected garden seemed to mock me. When it was over, I confronted him, my voice a tremor I barely recognized. "Arthur," I whispered, "what was that? Why didn't you mention me?" He turned, his smile fading, replaced by an expression of mild annoyance. "Eleanor," he said, his voice devoid of warmth, "you're being overly sensitive. This is a firm project. We all contribute." He paused, his gaze hardening. "Besides, your recent performance has been inconsistent. Frankly, your emotional attachment to this project has become a liability. I've decided it's best if we part ways." The words struck me like physical blows. Fired, discredited, erased, all in one breath. The world tilted on its axis. I walked out of that office building, the place I had called my second home, with nothing but a cardboard box of personal effects and a soul shredded into a million pieces. The city, once a canvas of endless possibility, now felt like a concrete cage, every skyscraper a monument to my failure. Every public space a reminder of the dream he had stolen. The humiliation was a raw, burning wound, exposed for the world to see. My phone buzzed with messages from former colleagues, some sympathetic, some clearly believing the narrative Arthur had spun about my inconsistency. The whispers, the pity, the outright scorn, it was a crucible of pain that threatened to consume me whole. For weeks, I drifted through a haze of despair. The apartment, once a sanctuary, became a tomb. The phone, once a lifeline, now a source of dread. I replayed every conversation, every interaction with Arthur, searching for the signs I had so blindly missed. The subtle shifts in his demeanor, the way he'd sometimes cut me off in meetings, the increasing possessiveness over the Veridian Spire files. He hadn't just betrayed me, he had groomed me, used me, then discarded me like a broken tool. The bitterness was a poison, seeping into every corner of my mind, threatening to drown me. One evening, staring at the blank screen of my laptop, a single forgotten file caught my eye. An old sketch, a whimsical idea for a community art center, drawn years ago, before Sterling and Associates had consumed my every thought. It was raw, unpolished, but it held a spark of the pure, unadulterated joy I once found in creation. And then a memory surfaced, a conversation with my grandmother years ago after a particularly harsh critique in architecture school. "Eleanor," she had said, her eyes wise and kind, "the greatest structures are built not from stone and steel, but from resilience. You are your own foundation." The words resonated, a quiet tremor in the earthquake of my despair. Resilience. I had forgotten that part of myself. The anger, the humiliation, the profound sense of injustice, they were still there, a simmering fire. But beneath them, a new ember began to glow, a fierce, unyielding resolve. This wasn't about Arthur Davies anymore. It wasn't about proving him wrong, not truly. It was about proving to myself that I was more than a discarded blueprint, more than a broken dream. It was about reclaiming my narrative, brick by agonizing brick. It was about building something so undeniably mine that no one, not even a man like Arthur, could ever steal it. The decision solidified in the quiet hours of dawn. I would not just survive, I would thrive. I would build my own firm, not just any firm, but one rooted in the very principles Arthur had scoffed at: community, sustainability, human-centric design. He had called my emotional attachment a liability. I would make it my greatest strength. The path I chose was not paved with gold, but with grit. I liquidated what little savings I had, setting up a makeshift office in the smallest bedroom of my tiny apartment. My first clients were friends of friends, small-scale renovations, a backyard studio, a local cafe. Each project, no matter how minor, was a lesson in humility, a crucible for my newfound independence. I learned to handle permits, manage budgets, negotiate with contractors, all the practicalities that Sterling and Associates had shielded me from. The learning curve was brutal, steep, and unforgiving. There were days when the doubt was a physical weight pressing down on my chest. Days when the phone didn't ring, when proposals were rejected, when the bank account dwindled to alarming lows. I remember one particularly bleak winter evening, huddled in a threadbare sweater, staring at a stack of unpaid bills. A potential client, after weeks of promising interest, had abruptly pulled out, citing concerns about a new, unproven firm. The sting of those words, a direct echo of Arthur's dismissal, was sharp. Tears streamed down my face, not of self-pity, but of sheer exhaustion. Was I crazy? I wondered. Was he right? Am I truly not good enough? But then a flicker, a memory of the joy I felt sketching that community art center. The image of the Veridian Spire, my stolen dream, flashed in my mind, not as a source of pain, but as a catalyst. No, I thought, wiping my eyes with the back of my hand. This is not about them. This is about me. And I am good enough. I started small, but I thought big. My niche was adaptive reuse and community-centric design. Instead of tearing down, I sought to transform. Instead of building monuments to ego, I aimed to create spaces that nurture human connection and respect the environment. My first breakthrough came with the Phoenix project, converting an abandoned textile mill into a vibrant co-working space and artist studios. It was a logistical nightmare, fraught with structural challenges and budget constraints. I spent weeks on site, covered in dust and grime, problem-solving on the fly, learning more from the contractors and the old building itself than any textbook could teach. The day the first artists moved in, their faces alight with excitement, I felt a surge of satisfaction that dwarfed any corporate bonus. It wasn't just a building, it was a living, breathing testament to resilience, both the building's and my own. Word began to spread. My unconventional approach, my unwavering commitment to sustainability, and the tangible results of my work started to attract attention. Small local newspapers ran features on the Phoenix project. Architects from other cities reached out, curious about my methods. My firm, Eleanor Vance Architecture, grew from a single desk in a spare bedroom to a small, bustling studio with 2 junior architects and an administrative assistant. We weren't chasing the flashy high-rise commissions. We were building the soul of the city, one thoughtful, sustainable project at a time. My days were still long, but they were filled with purpose, with the genuine thrill of creation, unmarred by the shadow of betrayal. The exhaustion was a welcome companion, a testament to honest labor. Success, I discovered, wasn't a sudden explosion, but a quiet, persistent hum. It was the moment I saw children playing in a revitalized park I had designed, the laughter echoing through the space. It was the tearful gratitude of a small business owner whose struggling storefront I had transformed into a thriving community hub. It was the quiet confidence that settled deep within me, the knowledge that I was not just an architect, but a builder of dreams, both for others and for myself. The bitterness had receded, replaced by a profound sense of peace. I was no longer defined by what Arthur Davies had taken, but by what I had built. 2 years later, the city announced a new architectural competition, the Civic Heart project, a sprawling mixed-use development that would redefine the city's central district. It was a direct competitor to the Veridian Spire, which, despite its initial fanfare, had been plagued by cost overruns and design flaws that stemmed from its inherent lack of human scale and genuine sustainability. Arthur Davies's firm, Sterling and Associates, was, predictably, a major contender, and so was Eleanor Vance Architecture. The submission process was rigorous, demanding. My team and I poured ourselves into it, not with the frantic desperation of my Veridian Spire days, but with a calm, assured passion. Our design for the Civic Heart was a reflection of everything I had learned, everything I had fought for. A living, breathing ecosystem of public spaces, affordable housing, green infrastructure, and community-driven commerce. It was bold, innovative, and deeply rooted in the needs of the people. It was, in essence, the antithesis of Arthur's grand, impersonal designs. The final presentations were held in the grand auditorium of the City Hall, the very same building where Arthur had stolen my future. I walked onto the stage, not with fear, but with a quiet strength that emanated from my core. My voice, once a tremor, was now clear and resonant as I articulated the vision for the Civic Heart. I spoke of interconnectedness, of resilience, of building for a future that honored both humanity and the planet. I spoke from the heart, from the depths of my lived experience, and the audience listened, captivated. Arthur Davies was in the front row, his face a mask of practiced composure. But I saw the flicker in his eyes, the slight tightening of his jaw as my presentation unfolded. He recognized the spirit of the Veridian Spire in my work, but he also saw its evolution, its refinement, its profound humanity, elements he had deliberately stripped away. He saw the woman he had tried to break, standing taller, stronger, and more brilliant than ever. The announcement came 2 weeks later. The air in the auditorium was thick with anticipation. The mayor stepped to the podium, a wide smile on his face. He spoke of the overwhelming quality of the submissions, the difficulty of the decision, and then he said the words that echoed through the hall, through the city, and through the deepest chambers of my soul. The winner of the Civic Heart project is Eleanor Vance Architecture. A collective gasp, then a roar of applause. My team erupted in cheers, pulling me into a joyous embrace. I walked to the stage, the lights blinding, the cheers deafening. As I shook the mayor's hand, I glanced toward the front row. Arthur Davies was still there, but his mask had cracked. His face was pale, his eyes wide with a mixture of shock, disbelief, and something akin to dawning horror. He saw not just my victory, but the profound failure of his own actions. He saw that by trying to bury me, he had inadvertently planted a seed that had grown into a mighty tree, overshadowing his own withered legacy. I accepted the award, my heart full, not with triumph over him, but with a quiet, profound sense of peace. The bitter poison had been purged. The wound had healed, leaving behind a scar that was a testament to my strength, not my pain. I hadn't sought revenge, I had sought redemption, and in building my own path, I had found it. The blueprint of my soul, once stolen and defiled, was now complete, drawn with my own hand in my own indelible ink, and it was beautiful.